That's the definition of schizophrenia, like, I think, isn't it?
So I was like, I'll start a commune and then we'll all share the library.
We'll just have a library in the middle and everybody just lives in tents.
That time it was just like, who am I?
Well, ask myself that every morning.
Get to it fast. Right here on the Anycast. Make it strong, make it last. Right here on the Anycast.
All right, everybody, I am back, whether you like it or not, with somebody I'm really excited to talk to today. She's been in the industry for ages, not to date either one of us, but we've known each other a long time now. And, I think now is a very interesting time, as always, to be looking back and seeing how far we've come, as well as looking towards the future. And as somebody who's been a bit of a futurist for a long time, I think it's a great conversation. So with that in mind, Luria Petrucci, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me.
I can't believe it. It has been forever, and it's so good to just hang out with you again. And to date myself, I just celebrated my 20-year anniversary doing video, which is insane.
We're going to dive into that. I introduce all my guests with this person needs no introduction. But for those who don't know, do you want to give us 2 minutes? Who are you? How did we get here? Where are we in 2026?
Yeah. I started for about 10 years. I was doing one of the first video podcasts around technology. So it was gadgets, news, reviews. Now everybody does that. And so I did that for 10 years and under a pseudonym, Callie Lewis. And I, had 2 million followers at that time. And then I burnt out and I blew it all to bits. Because that's what you do when you burn out.
As one does.
As one does. Changed my name back to my real name, Luria Petrucci, and kind of fumbled around for a couple of years trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And then I discovered the world of courses and more educational style content. And I'm a teacher at heart. I love to help people. I am a caregiver, and I just flocked to that. And I was like, yes, I'm going to teach what I know because, oh my gosh, people have been asking for 10 years, how do I do what you do? And at that time, I started leaning really into live streaming and video. And, the live streaming was becoming a thing again. It goes through these phases all the time of just like, oh, it's a thing now. No, it's not a thing now. And so I kind of leaned into that and grew my brand, Live Streaming Pros. And now I really get to help incredible humans like, I don't know if you'll know any of these names, but Michael Hyatt, Marie Forleo, Amy Porterfield, authors and entrepreneurs who are doing incredible work in the world. And I get to, build their studios. I get to support people in doing video throughout the levels of what that looks like, from basic to, high-end productions and live events. And it is truly an honor to be able to serve people in that way, because what I love about video, Matt, is really not the tech of it. Like, I've been woman in the tech world for 20 years, but it's not about the gear. It is about who people become when they show up on video, and when all of that stuff is not stressing them out, and when they're able to just show up and be who they are, fully, truly themselves, they become a stronger, more capable, bolder version of who they dream of being, and that's what I get to do every day of my life.
Well, that's definitely a more amazing version than I was going to give. So I'm glad you gave it.
Do I get a gold star?
Absolutely. Now I'm like, I want to quit my job and go do that. That sounds amazing. I will confess, I have on more than one occasion, which is not a good sign, filled out the Michael Hyatt planner. So I'm at least familiar with Michael Hyatt.
I love the full focus planner. I use it daily.
Yes. I go in ebbs and flows. I lose my focus and then I have to go back to it.
When I travel, I'm like, wait, I have to reset, because I don't tend to take it when I travel, because chaos.
Yes. Or worse, you lose it. And then you're like, oh my God, I got to start.
Right?
Over.
Like my whole life.
What do you, as somebody who struggled to get my technology working before this call, what do you, I think there's something there that you really touched on about removing the barriers and making it not, I don't know if the word is challenging isn't the word. I think it's maybe some people might find it like a barrier to entry, frustrating.
They wanna
Yeah,
throw it
all
out the
those things.
window.
I think it's fair to say that that's probably true in all technology, and I think video is starting to move that way, right? Where like the barrier to entry for what you said you've been on camera now for 20 years. Today it's launch TikTok app and speak into phone and you're live and you're doing stuff. Can you speak to how much that has changed as far as like the lowest barrier to entry, and then on the flip side, still what it takes to do it really well and at like high quality?
Yeah, I think there's a difference in terms of the type of video that you're doing, whether we're talking recorded video, Zoom, live streaming, any of it. And when I first started doing live, you had Leo Laporte on recently. I actually got my start with live with him because he had asked me to. I'm gonna take you down a little memory lane if that's okay. He had asked me to co-host Call for Help, his TV show, and, when Amber Mack left, and Amber and I are still great friends, and, so I co-hosted for 3 months on that show, and it scared me to death, right? Like, I had always been scripted, and now I had to just do live to tape at that time, and I was like, "Ah," like, I don't know what to say. And I came back from that experience because I am not good at not being good at something. So I am either going to do it really, really well, or I am not gonna do it at all, right? And so I came back from that experience and I was like, "I have to get good at this." So I started going live from my studio and to my own audience on a weekly and then daily basis. And I had a $10,000-$15,000 machine in order to do live at that
Mm.
time. And it was high tech and it was very complicated and it was what you would see in a CNN broadcast room, right? And then the Nokia N95 came out and it had an app on it called Quick, QIK, and it was the only way to go live from a phone and from a mobile device. And so I bought that phone just to be able to go live from the phone. And I started doing that on a regular basis. Very low quality, obviously, kind of difficult to get going live. And then we contrast that with what you were saying today. You just open your phone up and you're live and you're doing video and it's so easy. And e from a phone perspective, it's drastically changed, sure, just mostly not in technical capabilities, but in access, I would say. It's so easy, like, once social networks started embracing it, and it wasn't like a Ustream thing or a Justin TV thing or, some private networks, but it was available on social. That's when the whole thing shifted. And then, of course, the younger generations, and I can say that now because 'cause I'm old, they started using it and they just started growing up with it. And so the access, the comfortability with it is just there, and it's ubiquitous.
Yeah.
From a more professional output, it's a little bit more still there's a gap, right, that you have to overcome. It's so much easier, so much simpler, so much less costly than it used to be, but it's still a little bit of a barrier to, learn how to do things like graphics and overlays and, like, being able to throw up anytime I talk about something that's confusing, I'll, like, throw up a little, animation on screen, and my button isn't working, cool. Of course, 'cause tech. There it
Oh, there
goes.
we go. Yeah, there we go.
Like, I don't do live math or whatever. So, from an overlays, from a graphics perspective that really sets the stage for what looks professional and gains you instant credibility, that is still a little bit of a gap. And my job is to simplify that into a workflow that doesn't mean that it takes you a year to figure out, right? And
Right.
so like that's what I pour my daily work into is how do I make it even simpler for people? Double click a button or double click a file and it just loads right in and you're almost ready to go. That's really where I used to really spend a lot of time like geeking out about all of the tech and all of the things. And I can, but I decided it doesn't help the masses. It doesn't help more people really
Mhm.
embrace this stuff. And so that's where I shifted a couple of years ago. And it's been really it's been really cool because it does remove that barrier and makes it a lot easier for people to take advantage of video and live.
Yeah. You mentioned the credibility piece when,
Yeah.
somebody's well produced, if you will. On the flip side, it's like there's something that maybe seems more authentic when people are really just flipping their phone around and going, but I feel like that's probably comes in like sort of waves of like whether it's in style or not. Like it's almost like guerrilla film stuff, right? Which is like, for a while it's in and then it's back to like, no, I actually would like everything well put together with, good effects and that sort of thing. Um,
There's a time and a place.
right. Yeah. Like where do you see, I know courses and education is a big piece, but um, do you see that credibility piece mattering more in sort of today's internet? Like if we go back 20 years, anybody who was, streaming anything was credible because they were one of the 310 streamers. Now it's more like, how do I stand out in a world of 310 million streamers? Um,
Yeah. So here's how I look at it. We have different formats to take advantage of now, right? It's not just one type of live or video. And so when it comes to TikTok, when it comes to short form content on YouTube, Instagram, or anywhere else, the rawness is really beneficial, right? Just grabbing your phone and having a conversation with people and just going and talking, especially in the AI world that we're living in, it's actually pretty damn important that we take advantage of that. And that's a real benefit because it creates trust and likability to just connect, right? We just want to connect with people. And I also believe in doing the more professional type content. Let's say you're on Zoom teaching a class or you're doing a presentation. I do a lot of speaking, as you said, courses. So, speakers, authors, entrepreneurs who are selling something, even creators, YouTube creators in at large are still putting work into um, high quality, right? Because our brains operate in such a way that we desire that high quality to feed into credibility, feed into um, length of watch time, right? And so, like when I look at okay, I'm selling something or whatever, I am gonna put effort into retention, and retention is benefited by the higher quality, the ability to move in between, a pip with sharing your screen, throwing a graphic on screen, an animation, a switch of a camera, all of those things help people pay closer attention longer. And that benefits just watch time, it benefits sales, it benefits engagement, it benefits all of the things. So
mhm.
it's really important to decide what is the outcome that I want from this video or live stream. And you start there. If the outcome is community building, if the outcome is just connection, then let's go from our phone. If the outcome is to sell something, then you're going to be using a more professional setup with all of those capabilities. So I think it matters what you're doing and why you're doing it.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people don't have the outcome in mind when they start to, which is probably okay, but common, right?
It's very common, and I actually am just releasing a video tomorrow about that particular concept of where are we ending? Let's work backwards from there.
Right. Um, with that in mind, where should somebody be ending today if they're looking towards like, hey, um, I wanna start doing more video. What is the I mean, I know the answer depends on what people are doing, but is there an outcome that in your mind makes the most sense for people? Like, obviously, retention and audience building sort of, um, has long-term benefits and follow-on benefits that, even if you're just trying to sell one product today, um, it might sell the product might not be the outcome that you actually want when you're starting to do it. Can you talk a little bit about like how you help and or watch the video that's out now, people? But can you talk a little bit about sort of facilitating, you know, helping people figure out what they do want as an outcome? Because I think it can be confusing for people to know what they want.
If you're, let's say, a lot of my audience is like an author, speaker, an entrepreneur who has a product to sell. That's a pretty obvious outcome, right? If you don't have that obvious outcome, then what why do you want to do video? I guess I would ask that question of that person and say like, well, what is driving your motivation to do video? And likely, typically that comes back with, I just want to share my passion. I want to share my knowledge. I want to connect with other humans like me. And that's a beautiful outcome to have. And so everything is driven from that. Those two things are very opposite sounding outcomes. However, if you do it right, it's all merged and it's all connected. And you should be having really like if you're there to sell something, we're not just selling, otherwise it's sleazy. We're connecting, we're building community, we're driving connection or trust and conversation. And if you're there to connect with people, having something on the opposite end of that to support the growth of this community is also really beneficial. And having, a membership where you hang out and do movie night, whatever. Uh,
Yeah.
that is also beneficial because it gives them an opportunity to go deeper with that connection. So I think that regardless of what your outcome is, both things need to be true.
Right. Um, do you do you get more out of helping people with that than you did of doing the Callie Lewis era and being the talent, if you will? Um, which one's like more fulfilling for you?
It's interesting. So I think, I was probably an influencer because before the word influencer existed, and I got to do really cool freaking things. Like people would travel me across the world just to share it with my audience, and I got amazing experiences out of that. And that's where I learned to just build community. That's where I learned to just connect with people because I was doing sponsorships or things like that, but I wasn't there to sell my own product, which comes with a total different vibe. And I loved that era. And it wasn't what I had dreamed of when I first started, I think. Because when I first started, I was a really shy kid. I knew I was there to make a difference in the world. And I didn't know what that looked like. I didn't have self-belief in order to make that happen. Um, and when you kind of control the product, like when I control more in this era, I do get more benefit out of it or self pride, I guess. Because I know and I can see the lives that I'm changing and the lives that they're then changing out of that. And it's a snowball effect of impact. And I think that lines up a little bit more with what I envisioned when I first started, which was I want to do something great and I want to make a difference in the world. I don't want to just I didn't want to do video. I was shy. I'd never spoken. Like kids called me a snob in school because I didn't know how to talk. Like, so it wasn't that I wanted to be on camera or do video at all. It was that driver of like, okay, well, this is really cool tech that I'm learning and hand coding and really geeking out with from a technical perspective. That's why I started it, but also from a driver, like an internal driver, it was so much more, and I had hoped for more, right? And so
Yeah.
I'm not knocking the first era, but, yeah, I guess to answer your
With
question, I do.
was some of that, like, careful what you wish for, like, because you might get it? Or was it more just like it was also new back then too, right? Like, nobody really knew the scope of the impact that we would.
No. I guess what do you mean when you say, "Be careful what you wish for"?
Well, like, sometimes, like, I wanna get my voice out to, like, a whole bunch of people and, like, everybody, change a whole lot of lives, and then I was like, "Okay, now there's millions of people looking at me." That's
Yeah.
an uncomfortable feeling now, oops, and, now they all have opinions, and they're telling me what they think I should do or how I should feel or that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Um
It's definitely, it became something else that I had no idea I was in for. Like, I had all this attention. I don't celebrate my birthday because I don't like to be the center of attention, and I just am uncomfortable with attention, and I had to learn how to embrace that. Definitely, it became such a big thing that I was getting recognized back then, like, at the store and, on the streets and all over the place, and I started to feel very caved in. It was like what celebrities like, actual celebrities experience, but on a tiny miniature scale.
Mhm.
But, I had so many viewers at that time that I was getting recognized out and about. And I remember this time, I was in the grocery store and I was having a bad day. And I I don't like go towards anger very easily. Like if you get me angry, boy, you have done something really, really wrong to me. Like,
You deserve what's coming.
you really deserve what's coming. Um, so I don't get angry. I'm very well, like, just, but at the same time, that day I was having a pretty bad day and I was just annoyed. And there was this person sitting in the freezer section. And I was like, come on, like, move in my head, right? But I was probably visibly a little annoyed too. And I was just waiting for them to move so I could get my frozen veggies or whatever it was. And I felt that, and then I went home, and of course I checked Twitter, and there's this tweet. I saw you in the grocery store.
And you were a jerk.
Well, then I started thinking, what did they see? Right? Who did they see coming out of that experience? And first of all, if you ever see me in public, please say hi. So I don't have to worry about that. But there's it's also creepy, right? When you are experiencing something in your life and then they don't say hi, and then all of a sudden you find this person had been watching you, it feels like. And then I moved into a new apartment, and this is kind of where it culminated for me. I moved into a new apartment and I've got the truck there. I'm moving in and I get a tweet. You're moving into my apartment complex. Oh my God. You're right. And it was just, I felt like I had to hide. I felt like I just couldn't be who I was. And part of that was the people who I trusted the most at that time had been telling me for many years, do this, don't do this, don't be this. And it, I started when I was early 20s and now I was like in my 30s, or I was coming into 30, and I was needing to grow and I was needing to change as a human being, and I didn't have the capability to feel like I could do that. And that
Mhm.
was a really yes, be careful what you wish for type of moment. And so I think that was part of why I just burnt out, and I was in this bubble. I couldn't break free, and I needed to just break that bubble and just figure out life for myself and just become a human, not a character, if that makes sense. Like, I never was just a character, but it was feeling like that. Don't drink wine because you might be taking, like, somebody might take a picture of you with a glass and you might be blinking and it might look like you're drunk, and like all of these rules that were happening. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm Italian. I drink wine. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure I've seen you drink wine, and everybody was drinking wine, and but it's hard to think of that, something just as natural as, having dinner to be something where you need to like, whoa, I need to watch myself here.
Like, yeah, it was always like, be cautious. And
Yeah.
it wasn't a fun environment for a a growing woman who just was needed to, like, I don't think it's fun for anybody at any stage
Yeah.
of life, but yeah, at that time it was just like, who am I?
Yeah. Well, I ask myself that every morning.
I know, right? Still asking myself, but whatever.
Do you, we talked about the younger generation. We're just going to call them the new generation. Do you think that that new generation of influencer type has that same problem? Like, I feel like uh, there's so much more. At least the ones that come to my mind are more just like, this is me, man. Like, this is me at my worst. Here's me at my best. You've seen me drunk. Like, if you follow me, you've already seen me drunk and wasted on wine. So, good luck to you. You
Yeah.
think it's easier for this generation?
It does appear to be easier, right? It is easier to just be who you are. Um, on one sense, for the next generation. Is that what we're calling them?
Yeah.
What did you say?
New,
Okay.
new next something.
New generation.
Yeah. Not young.
God, I feel old. Come on. Um, I do think that it appears easier. And when I listen to some of them, I hear the stress, and when they actually speak up, and I do know what they're dealing with. And so I would say, while it appears to be that way, I don't know that it
It's
is
just different
fully that.
stresses now.
I think it's different. Yeah. It's easier to just be who you are and not worry about things until you get canceled, of course. And
What if they catch me not drinking wine? Right? Like, it's the
right.
same.
Yeah, but I think the pressures are always there when you're in the public face of any shape or form. And I do think that for our generation, it's still a big issue. I see this time over and over and over with all of my students. Like, they struggle so hard to be themselves on video. And that's part of what I really help people do. And I had this challenge for many years that I'm actually bringing back in a new form of, how do we unlock who you are internally so that we can bring that forward on camera?
Mhm.
And the life-changing moments that happen through that experience is incredible to watch. But there's a drastic difference between people who didn't grow up on video and people who is just a normal part of life.
Yeah. I want to talk about that when I feel like what the feedback I get from people who are starting out is always just they hate the way they look or sound. And I mean, again, not a new internet phenomenon. Like, record yourself on tape singing in your bedroom at, age 5 and play it back. And you're like, what is even happening
Well,
in this playback? Um, but what do you, how do you start when there's a creator or somebody who starts out with like, I've tried it and I hate that version of me. I hate how I look. I hate how I sound.
yeah. Are you gonna make me give away all my secrets? Okay. All
Yes,
right.
isn't that,
Do it.
but just for the
Let's
record, isn't that the way to sell courses, right? Is like you give away your best stuff and people go,
Yes.
"Oh, it's too much work to do anyway. I'd better just pay you."
Exactly.
Yeah.
So here's how I start with people when they allow me to do this with them. I um I say no tech. We're grabbing our phones. We're not playing with gear. We're not playing with cameras. We're not doing graphics. We're not doing any of that stuff, because what happens with that stuff is if you start with it, it's overwhelming, exhausting, and people just stop doing video altogether. And so that's like a next stage thing in my book. But what happens when you just pull out your phone, and then it's not about doing video. So I give people prompts to go deep internally of like, who were you as a kid and how does that play out now? What are your biggest fears, your biggest dreams? Like, so I do these prompts of like, just talk to me about this subject. And honestly, if they're not crying by day 3 of my challenge type thing that I do, I haven't done my job. They literally call it therapy, and I have to do disclaimers now of like, this is not therapy.
So you
I'm not
you break people down before you
I
let them
break
build back
them
up.
down.
Yes.
But it's so powerful when you get used to just talking to the device and be human and really be internally thinking about how you want to show up in the world. And then we add, all right, what's your content about? How do we structure it? How do we deliver well on camera and communicate through that lens? And all of that stuff is important, but it's almost useless unless you nail the human aspect of who you are and who you want to show up as.
And as far as who you show up as, that probably has a significant impact on the audience that ends up, being attracted to you and your content. Is that something that people can start with that outcome in mind, or is it really just you got to be who you are and you're going to attract who you're going to attract, and you got to live with what that network then starts to look like. You can't because a lot of people try and say, well, I need to reach these people, and I feel like that's a hard way to like communicate.
Yeah. Well, I think the who you're trying to reach matters, but it matters as a subset, I guess, of your personality, right? So what happens is, because we've been trained by corporate to be professional, and when I break that barrier, then the professional aspect comes into what we were talking about before with the visuals. And then the personality can shine through with that. And I always say, like, those two things are parallel, they never touch. Professionalism and personality are two separate things that happen together on the same video. And so I have this student, she's an amazing human being, Betty, and she helps women with peri and postmenopause. And she's 70, and she is this just incredible like personality. When she came to me, she was really uncomfortable on camera. She felt like she had to show up with makeup and be perfect and all of these restrictions. And after she went through my processes, she is now a world champion bodybuilder. She is like doing all of these amazing things at 70, because that was always in her heart to do. And the video aspect of it, learning to just be free on camera, literally turned her life upside down, because in a good way, because she was able to embrace who she wanted to be. And that's what I mean by deciding who to show up as. Um, it's not about creating a character. It's about, what are those deep desires that you're not living out? And when
Right.
you start living those, that is when magic happens for whatever purpose you're doing video for.
I feel like that transcends video a little bit.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
And that's what I love doing because video is just a vehicle to live past your personal restrictions, whether that's, somebody doing that to you. I lived my whole life almost until fairly recently, living somebody else's life or being somebody who I was being told to be. And it's an exhausting way to live. And I want to help people break through those barriers and those traps that either you really set on yourself, let's face it. And it's just such a beautiful thing.
It reminds me, people say anytime you use the word should, that's a sign that you're doing something that
Right.
you really don't believe in, right?
Exactly.
And so
Yeah.
it's
I heard
it's
that just
getting.
yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. You should have heard that earlier. Um, yeah, but that sort of always resonates with me. In terms of like people that feel like if they should be doing this and this and this, and that's the and that's the pattern or that's the playbook that you need to do. And that even goes back to what we talked about with the influencer stuff too, right? It's like, you need to watch out for all these shoulds. And in reality, they don't really get you. They certainly don't make you unique. Which I think is also a big part of it is, certainly people are trying to stand out and have an audience find them. Doing it the same way everybody else does is a recipe to not stand out and not build an audience that's looking for you.
And it's really cool when you're able to look at your community and say, these people are like me. Like literally, I was in my group coaching program doing a training the other day, and I just made an offhand comment about wanting a library with one of those like it's my dream. Like I don't like big houses. I don't like clutter. I don't like things. But I want this big ass library with like the rolling ladder and the fire and the armchair and like the perfect picture library. And I was just made an offhand comment about that. And then I watched the faces and 99%, there was one person who was like, meh. 99% of the people in the room were like, yes, that's my dream too. And then we came up with this plan to, I'll start what do they call those things where like everybody lives in the same compound or
Oh, yeah.
something?
Or a commune.
Commune. And so I
Yeah.
was like, I'll start a commune and then we'll all share the library.
We'll just have a library in the middle and everybody just lives in tents.
Exactly. But that's what happens when you are able to be fully yourself is you just naturally attract the people who have the same values, have the same core dreams, belief systems, and it's a really cool way to just live your daily life, to be surrounded not by people who don't challenge you, like we want that, um, but by people who share same values. Like that's what we all want to do. That's why parties of all kinds exists, right?
Yeah, and it reminds me I was having a conversation with somebody recently just about marketing in general and it's like, oh, social proof. And you need social proof when you're marketing stuff. And I see a lot of people, we definitely made mistakes doing it. It's like, but there's not like all social proof is good proof, because what we really want is you want social proof from your tribe, whatever that means,
Yeah.
right? Like fundamentally humans are tribal. And so the
That's
reason
why
we seek
put bumper stickers on our cars.
exactly, and we seek out a community of people who want to live together and share a library, right? Like it's like,
Mhm.
oh wow, this is my tribe. They get
Uh-huh.
me. And so often it's if you're trying to appeal to not your tribe, or you're in the case I was mentioning, social proof, not your tribe. Like somebody would send me an email and they're like, oh, we do development work and we've worked with people like Bank of America and whatever. And I'm just like, if Bank of America is happy with how you work with them, by definition, I'm going to hate working with you. Right? We are on opposite ends of the spectrum. So what you thought was like a great social proof of like, look at, these people we work with. I'm like, I will now never work with you. Before I was neutral. Now I have no desire to work with you.
Yeah.
But it comes from the same thing, right? Is like that you want that feedback loop to be people that you go, oh, you're like me, whatever that is, right? You want that like me part.
You want the reaction to be stick or flee.
Hmm.
Like you're fleeing from that, which is great because that means you're not being vanilla about it, about who you're putting out there and what you're attracting.
Yeah. Related to that, like, how do you coach people, or what's the right advice for like listening to audience feedback though, right? Because on one hand, it's like
Mm.
you want to be authentic, you want to be who you are. On the flip side, you probably do need to pay attention to what feedback you are getting.
Yeah. Yeah. If I listen to another man tell me what to do with my hair, I'm gonna, throw something.
Yeah.
Right. Like I change my hair all the time. Partly because I don't want to be in the seat for too long, so I find it inefficient. But so I learned the power of not paying attention to people's feedback, although I'm coming to why you should. Uh, but I learned the power when I got 2 separate comments on a video years and years ago. "Your, your your shirt is too high." And then the next one was, "Could you lower your shirt a little?" Wait, what? And then also, like, a separate comment, like, right minutes apart from each other, "You're the most beautiful woman in the world, I wanna marry you. Oh my god, you're an ugly blank, 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 you should die." Like,
The internet.
the internet. Welcome
Yes.
to the internet. And I was like, "Wow, you really can't please everybody, can you?" Okay. So, I think that what I like to do and what I teach is we don't wanna pay attention to things like that are about our appearance, about our, way of talking. If somebody has a problem with you saying, occasionally, that's their problem, not yours. If the feedback is about it is when you read it, there's something that triggers a little truth in it, then pay attention to the truth, but set aside anything that's chaotic around it. Whether that's rudeness, whether that's hurt to your ego. And I think that it's really about finding the truth and feedback that you choose to listen to, and then taking that and adjusting that feedback to your desires, to your needs, to your, how you wanna show up in the world. And so if it's feedback that, like, for instance, somebody once gave me feedback that was really rude, and my team deleted it, but I happened to see it before they did, and there was something bothering me about it beyond, like, "How?" Like, that was mean. It was I don't remember exactly, but it was something about how I delivered the information that they were upset about, and I was like, "You know what? I could have probably done a little better at communicating that thing." That's perfectly fine to accept, to internalize, and to do better next time. But if it's about the way you look, the way you talk, the way you are as a human, forget about it.
Yeah. Uh, and I think there is, I joke about it, but there is like an internet aspect to that.
Yeah.
Like, there's not too many other places you would go where that's what people would start with as a critique, right? Like,
Right? Yeah.
right? Like if you just think of like presenting in front of a class, right,
Yeah.
in school. And no, by the way, nobody's meaner than high school kids.
Right.
Um, no high school kids would be like, "Oh, actually, it's the way you look and sound that I don't like." They're still going to be like, "Oh, that fact was maybe wrong," and whatever. Like, there's just something uniquely internet that sets people up to just go at
Really
like
is.
personal, details.
Yeah.
But you also mentioned something that I heard, um, something that I've been thinking about a lot, which is there's no such thing as like an average customer, and there's really no such thing as like an average audience member either. Which I think is like an important thing. Like, I remember the Navy did this thing where they measured like every pilot in the Navy whenever it was 4,500 pilots to design the next cockpit. This is like World War II era. They said, we want to make a cockpit, that fits our pilots and, makes it, ergonomically great for, for them to be in there. And so they got all the averages and they designed it for the average pilot. And out of the 4,500 people, not a single one was actually in the right place on like all 9 dimensions they designed. So, which is actually how like humans and as well as statistical data, but is actually how humans tend to filter. And like, I'm a golfer, and I'm like, one of the things that you always get told is like, here's what the average PGA Tour player would do, right? Like, this is how high the average tour player
Yeah,
hits the
that
ball,
makes
how
sense.
far it goes, all those things. But the average tour player, somebody who was just all right down the middle, would actually be terrible and would not be on the PGA Tour and would have never made it. Because what matters is like the people who are really good at this one thing are way outside the average up here, and they're way out, below the average up here. But I feel like, the average audience member, if you attempted to cater to the average audience member, there actually is no such person, and you would just annoy everybody. And,
That's
that was
really
sort of
well said. I love that perspective.
just like in terms of filtering feedback, like you said, like you can't please everybody, but like the worst would be to try and please like your average person, because that's not even a thing. Everybody, like your average person is in the middle, but it's because 50% of them are on the left and 50% of them are on the right. So if you go to the middle, they're gonna be like, well, that doesn't appeal to me. It appeals to nobody. And so I just think about that a lot.
That's what I always call vanilla, but I love the way you phrased that and put that into perspective. That's really, really nicely done.
If you weren't expecting to hear about U.S. Navy pilot dimensions on this call, I don't know what you were looking for. Yeah. Um, yeah. So speaking of the U.S. Navy, uh, what does success look like for you now? Then, like you probably have had over 1 billion views. I would
I
hesitate to
can't
guess
even
if you
count
track
because I've
such
had
things.
multiple brands and yeah, like, um, I'm sure well over that.
Humble
The
brag. I
well,
can't even keep track of how many people have.
I was just pull out my podcast Hall of Fame award
Yeah,
right now. No.
yeah. Where's the award? It's not in the background.
Yeah, why isn't that on my set? So it's a good question, right? Is like, what is success? I used to think success, of course, as we all kind of grow up thinking like big. Success means big, big team, big money, big, all the things. And now I actually went through a period of time where I had just had a really bad partnership split, and I was exhausted, and I was like, I knew I am tenacious by default, and so, like, I was gonna keep going, but I was in this moment of, like, really evaluating what does success look like to me, and I literally, took my team from 12 to 3, in a span of a couple of years, and, it's so much lighter, and it's so much nicer to wake up and not have the pressure of all of the things and all of the, right, of all of the responsibility, I think, and it allows me to free up my space, my mental space to do the things that I love to do, and not just, like it was like there's one moment I was realizing, okay, first of all, I needed an ops person at that time, of course, but, like, I didn't have one. I had everything um, but I was, like, trying to translate between 2 people, and I was like, "This is what is happening?" And so, yeah, I think I don't success, I guess, to me now means impact more so than numbers of any kind, and does that mean that I don't wanna be on Oprah one day? No, and I'll need numbers for that, but, like, yeah, I have big, big goals and big dreams, but, uh, it doesn't necessarily mean that I need to have a whole bunch of things going on, and I've even been reevaluating some of the work that I do, and like what does the shift need to happen to make it feel lighter, feel freer, and free me up to be able to go hiking or paddleboarding or whatever things are at any time that I feel like doing so. So I think that's where I'm going towards. I don't know that I have it all figured out yet,
Yeah.
but
Well, let me know when you do. Yeah.
I don't think we ever do, right? We do
No.
for a period of time and then things shift and change. So,
Yeah, I heard a phrase once is like, especially when you're building businesses, which we call it different things, but fundamentally being an influencer, not that we called it that back then, but like
yeah.
building an online persona is certainly a business.
I was just gonna ask you, like, what's been the most impactful moment or like realization in your time doing all of this?
That's a good question. I think it might be the one um, that's most similar to what you just talked about, which is you originally start something, I think, for freedom from. Right? Like,
Oh,
I don't want to have a boss. I don't want to, I want to control my own narrative. Like, there's all these things that you're trying to get away from, and then
yeah.
eventually get to the point where you do what you just said, which is I want freedom to,
Yeah.
right? I want freedom to go do this thing that I want to do.
You have a way with words. You should speak
Uh,
or
I,
something.
I don't know. If I did, nobody would watch, so it's probably best that I don't. Um, but yes, and I'm stealing that from somebody for sure. But to me, that was like the epiphany of like, oh yeah, and when you're starting, you don't want freedom to because all you're worried about is the freedom from. So it's a natural progression. And I just think, but like once you hit that inflection point where you're like, aha, now I know that, it's like somebody said once, like an entrepreneur is somebody who will work 70 hours a week so they don't have to work 40 hours a week. Same idea, right? Is like you have this idea of what you don't want. And then somewhere along the way you go, yeah, but what do I do want?
Yeah.
And if that's blurry, that's hard, I think, especially for somebody like you said, you're tenacious. Anybody who's driven, anybody who's,
Yeah.
um, who can't just wake up and go, oh, today I'm going to do nothing.
Yeah.
Um, but it's scary
I
when you don't actually know what you do want to do.
Yeah. So we were talking about Michael Hyatt before, and Michael is amazing at talking to people about having that freedom. Like, what is it that you do want, right? I've learned so much from him. And I'm friends with his daughter, and I was with her in Nashville recently, and she was talking about how she is shaping up for this year in 26. And Mary is just an incredible human being. I love her to death. And she was talking about like, oh, just kind of almost like going with the flow and right. And like that's how she lives. And that's a beautiful thing. And then I was like, girl, I don't think I could live that way. Like I am too like I must be able to accomplish X or like go towards this thing. And she just lets opportunities come to her and um feels her way through life almost. And I'm like, wow, that's eye-opening. And I don't think I could live that way. I think I would die.
Yeah. Well,
But
that's like,
how are you to live the way you want to live? That's the beauty of it.
once you find out that like people can do that, you're just go like your brain, tweaks a bit and you're like, I didn't know that was a thing. Like another internet thing, I think like during COVID, I still ask people about this all the time, but like I literally didn't know until COVID that like more than half the people walk around and do have a monologue in their head all day. Uh, which I do not have a monologue in my head. I just thought that was a movie effect to help move the plot along.
Oh,
And
interesting.
then, yeah, like I have no voice. Like I would never be like, oh, I'm going to go downstairs now. Or, oh, I wonder who's at the door or any of those things. Like
Wow.
I have those thoughts, but they kind of come more as like pictures.
Oh, interesting.
Or rather like, they're there, but it's not vocalized. It's not
Always.
words.
Yeah, it's
And so as soon as I found out that people have like a voice talking to them all day, I was like, what, that's a thing? How do you even, survive in the world? But
that's
that's
not
just
like from your perspective, that must sound like you're crazy. Like
that's
we're
the
all crazy.
definition of schizophrenia. Like I think, isn't it? Right?
Exactly.
Like, uh, but I
So
literally
you're the only one
had,
who's not.
I guess, like I literally was just like, what do you mean like the monologue, and they're like, yeah, when I'm talking to myself all day, and I'm like, Gesundheit? I don't understand. But that's like the people, everybody sort of figures out their thing, whether it's, being really goal oriented and driven, or people who are just like, I'm just gonna, the universe will bring me opportunities.
Yeah,
And other people like I will make the universe bring me opportunities.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's me all day.
Yeah. Well, with that in mind, then what? So we survived all the opportunities from the early 2000s, and then the everything sort of grew up a little bit. Where do you see? I mean, specifically video, but just in general, this whole internet, um, personality or user-driven content, or certainly there's been like a democratization of content that's happened, right? Like before it was like you were in when you started, you were competing with CBS and ABC and you know s- corporations for people's attention. And those corporations still exist and are still trying to win the attention back now, maybe. But in practice, it's sort of a creator-driven world more and more every day. What where are we in that story arc? Do you think? And there's a different way of saying, like, what do you think the future holds for people delivering the message online without like an intermediary?
Well, I think it's all going to go away tomorrow. So there's that.
Well, at least we got this in today, then.
Exactly.
Yes.
You won't be able to post this. No. If I've taken anything from doing this for 20 years, I've taken that nothing is one way for too long. It's always shifting. It's always coming back. This thing is coming back into just like fashion. It's really just like fashion. That like now we're seeing the bell bottoms or something. I don't know anything about fashion, so I can't really talk about it. But right, like the
Your
70s.
shirt is either too high or too low. Is that's what you need to know
Exactly,
about fashion?
exactly. And
Yeah.
my hair is all wrong. So the I think that we see these patterns and these waves of interest. And right now we're of course in this AI I feel like it's an AI chaotic world at the moment where like everybody is getting I got bamboozled by that country song that hit the top of the charts, right? Like I
Yeah.
was watching TikToks and I was like, "Ooh, that's a good song," because you only hear a little bit of it, right? And I was
Yeah.
like, "Ooh, I'm gonna." So putting that on Spotify, and then I was looking for it, and I was like, "What's what? Wait, what? Wait." And then that breaks trust, and then we're all asking. I hear this constantly. Is that AI? You look at content, and the comments are filled with, "Is this AI or not?" And right there's this I feel like it's chaotic because everybody's figuring it out. It's a big deal and it's breaking trust on the other end. And so everybody's having to figure out how to show up online in a way that can connect while not losing out on the, credible factor. So there's just like I feel like that's where we are right now. And as AI figures it itself out and the world figures out what to do with it, we'll dip back into, we'll kind of go back and forth. It'll like, we'll see a rise of interest, whether that's AI, whether that's live streaming, whether that's this or that. And I believe that this year and next year, as AI is still taking off, that live streaming is going to be even more powerful, more in demand, more interesting, and needed more of just to combat it. So that's I kind of think where we are right now and where we're heading in the near future. But it'll level out. Something else will take over. It's just the way it goes. So I think you can't ever settle in terms of the here and now, and I don't mean that in a stressful way, I just mean that in a flexible way, like, just remain flexible and pay attention, and I'm always paying attention for what's next and how to transition into it, and so I think that, like, you can either you also have to know whether you're an early adopter or not, right? In terms of what you do and the actions that you take as well.
I think, yeah, I mean, what struck me while you were talking about it was that, with AI being where it's at, it's quite conceivable that in the next, probably faster than I think, but let's say 3 years, that like AI can probably write as me better than me. But I see it. You can see that gap closing at some point.
Sure.
Whereas going back to what we talked about like finding your authenticity and your personality and stuff like that, I don't see anywhere on the horizon of like a video version of me that tells the same jokes and has the same intonation and
Right.
all that sort of stuff. Like I think that human connection, you know, maybe could become realer. Like the stuff to me that's like, is that AI? Is like, watch this cat explode a cruise ship. Like it's all, there's always special effects involved and people going, is that AI? But
even like I follow this dog or see this dog account of like this dog snowboarding, and I thought it was real until I read all the comments, and it didn't have like special effects, and it looked really real.
right.
But you're right, like there's no way. There was some study done or math equation or something that came out, and I'm totally gonna flub it, so I shouldn't probably be quoting
Press
it,
the
but
button. You gotta press the button, the math button.
no, yes.
Yeah.
Go for the math button. But there was some kind of equation done. Why is it on a delay? Why is my button on a delay?
Wait for it.
Yeah, wait for it. It's coming. There we go.
There it is.
The amount in order for AI to reach that point, like it would cost so much more than the world has to be able to make that happen. So we're definitely like you're spot on, and I probably got that lied. I probably just lied to you about what that study said, but it was somewhere in that vicinity.
Yeah. Let's just say impractical.
It's very, very impractical to get to that point with AI in any version of our lifetime.
Yeah. All right. Well, before we go, this was awesome, by the way.
It really was. I just enjoy hanging out and talking.
I know that's what this is supposed to be. The problem is I don't know that anybody else enjoys listening to us hang out and talk as much as we do. But
Well, leave us a comment. What do you think about my shirt? What do you think about my hair? Did you enjoy
right.
this? What did you think
Yes.
about Matt's brilliant way of phrasing things?
I don't want to read that. I don't read those comments. Where can people find you? How can people get in touch with you if they're interested in being a better human on camera? I know it's an area that a lot of people want to get better at. So
Yeah. So my website is livestreamingpros.com, and all the information about how to work with me and all of that stuff is there if you're interested. But if you want to just connect, join me on YouTube. I'm live weekly, or DM me on Instagram. I love my Instagram DMs and voice messages and just the ability to connect and talk. So if anything resonated, I would just love to hear from you, however form that takes for you.
awesome. Luria, thank you so much. This was great.
Thank you, Matt.
This is different, another round, so much more to talk about. Gonna aim to satisfy with help from CacheFly. Get to it fast. Right here on the Anycast. Make it strong, make it last. Right here on the Anycast. The Anycast podcast, brought to you by CacheFly.